Okay, let's start in just a couple minutes.
I'm gonna have to turn off my Teams.
You ready, Ashley?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Courtney Karachi, and I am a member of New England's PWIPM chapter. We also have Kelly Altland and Marilyn Masidi here. They are the co-chairs of our chapter. We're so excited to have Ashley here today to present on such an important topic. She's going to discuss ways in which that we can ensure that we create cultures where women feel empowered to do any job in the pest control industry. So a little bit of background on Ashley. She is currently the Director of Customer Experience at Rottler Pest Solutions based out of St. Louis, Missouri. She also has been in the industry for 16 years and is part of a major push to implement technology at a rapidly growing company. Before joining the Rottler team, she's held many roles at American Pest, which is based out of Washington, D.C., including customer service representative, accounts manager, and strategy and efficiency manager. Ashley's focus is to implement new platforms, enhance customer and employee experiences, and increase efficiencies across all departments. Promoting females at Rottler and in the industry is a strong passion for her and her team. When she's not hyping up females to try the pest control industry, she can be found cruising around her neighborhood in her golf cart and eating toasted raviolis with her 11-year-old daughter and husband. We are going to be recording this particular webinar for our YouTube channel. So if anyone wants to access this afterwards, you will be able to do so. And if you have any questions for Ashley as the presentation goes on, please click on the Q&A section. So we'll answer all of those questions at the end for you. She is very excited to answer any questions that you guys might have. So with that, Ashley, I will turn that over to you.
Thanks, Courtney. All right, I'm going to share screen. Just make sure you can see it. Look good? All right. Good afternoon. I'm lucky to know some of you on the call. But if you don't know me, like Courtney said, I'm Ashley Heavrin out of St. Louis, Missouri, and it's adorable how you say Missouri, Courtney. Just a heads up. Um, but I am a former East Coast girl. I worked out of DC for a long time with American Pest for about 12 years, and then I moved back to the Midwest. That's where I'm from. So thank you so much, Courtney, for inviting me to do this. Routing and lifting up females in pest control are two of my favorite things to talk about. And I've actually never presented on this topic. Usually I'm presenting on nerd stuff at Academy or associated meetings. So it's fun to do something that I'm passionate about. And also thank you to the New England PWIPM group. You guys have, whether you know it or not, you guys have been a big part of helping us in Missouri start up our PWIPM chapter. You guys have been great mentors and you've let us join your meetings in the past. So I'm very excited to return the favor and be here today. Like Courtney said, I have about 30 minutes of content, and that'll leave plenty of time at the end for Q&A. If anybody wants to share too, something that you're doing, or just deep dive in anything that I mentioned. All right, so the title of this presentation is called Girls in the Office. It's likely that some of you on this call have heard or can relate to this. If you haven't, I'd be shocked because I have been in very female supportive companies and I still heard it a lot. So I've heard it at industry conferences, at dinners with just friends, at different things. So I personally just feel like this phrase, even though it's like simple and might be just said off the cuff, it pigeonholes females into CSR roles or admin task type people. And overall, I just want you to know I'm going to keep this super positive. This isn't going to be a hate on men thing at all. But I just wanted to talk about the topic because it is something that I've heard a lot and I try to correct when I do hear it. All right. So one St. Louis thing that we say all the time around here. So if you're from St. Louis or been here, the thing is to say, where'd you go to high school? And that's one of my favorite things to ask pest control industry people is, how did you get into the industry? So that's our St. Louis equivalent. So I'll share a little bit about that. But first, this is my family, my very supportive husband, Lynn, who has put up with my 11-year-old kid's obsession with insects. I don't know where she got that from. But Emma, my kid, has had hundreds of pet hissing cockroaches over the last 8 years. And this all came from Emma being encouraged to have an interest in science and entomology by a fellow coworker at American Pest named Dr. Kathy, who she does the support for the NIH campus pest control, actually. And during COVID, they would FaceTime and Dr. Kathy would answer questions like, why do my cockroaches keep having babies if I separated the boys and the girls? And things like that. So then your kid goes to preschool and talks about sperm packets and how highly evolved cockroaches are. And luckily, the school invited us to present on our pets instead of kick us out. So this picture is of Emma presenting on her cockroaches, and I'm just her proud wing woman there. But I mention this because just building up my kid and myself in the industry has been super important. I went to school for interior design and didn't think about doing pest control. TLC's trading spaces had a huge impact on my growing up, and that's what I thought I wanted to do. And I graduated in 2008 when the housing crisis happened. That's when I graduated college, and I couldn't find a job. And a friend had a cousin who owned a pest control company. That's how it goes. And I interviewed at a Starbucks with David Billingsley 16 years ago and became a CSR. And I was that for 8 years. But definitely a far, reach from interior design. But I've stayed in the industry because I was given a lot of opportunities by leadership positions and people. And I would have left it if I was just, stayed as a CSR or a girl in the office. I wouldn't be here. So giving that support is really important. All right. So I've been thinking about this presentation and for a few months, collected some just big impact ticket items that we've been doing at Rottler that took us from when I first started 3 years ago, we had about 3 female field team members. And then now we have over 20 and 2 of those being female managers in the field. So that's really what we had focused on was female diversity in the field. We've had females apply also for high up female or field management positions like regional manager and commercial sales manager in the last year. Alex, who is probably on this call, applied and got to be a director. It was a new position that we needed and we created it. It's not a field position, but we made another group in the admin team. And now I'm not the only woman on leadership at Rottler. There's 2 of us now. So that's made me super proud to have her on our leadership team. So things I want to go over, create positions for anyone. Encouragement, get leadership on board. That's been a big thing at Rottler, and they were on board, but they weren't being super loud about it. And the hardest of all, hold others accountable. All right. So the first point, and the big thing that we focused on was to create positions for anyone. So Erin Roche, she's our recruiter, and you might know her because she got honored at the Women's Forum this year. We're super proud of her and the impact she's made at Rattler. But she looked at a lot of our job postings and took out some of the things and added some things that might appeal to females to provide to or apply to technician roles. Flexible schedule was our biggest one, and we put that in all of our job postings, and that was a big hit on the keyword when we looked at what applicants were looking for. Um, so we made a big change on that and saw a pretty big result. And now we're making a focus on redefining management and what that looks like at Rattler, or what role we want at Rattler for that. And then the admin team members too, like just creating like we did for Alex, a different position on the admin team that was a director level position that gave some more opportunities for upward mobility. We kept evolving what we looked for at American Pest. So one thing we did was, especially when we got into Anticimex land, we were purchased by Anticimex, a very large reporting heavy company. And we were less focused on having technicians promoted into field management roles. Just knowing how to do pest control wasn't good enough anymore to be a field manager. We knew that the best technicians did not always make the best managers. But we needed so many managers that sometimes it was all that we had, and we promoted the wrong people sometimes. So instead, we shifted our focus after we figured out that wasn't working to be more of like a culture fit, computer and database understanding, knowing Excel, understanding just business in general, and then overall manager and leadership qualities. It turns out a lot of female, and proudly many from my routing team that I had created at American met these new manager qualities that we were looking for. And being good at routing means that you have a good business mind. You need to know when to cut routes and who can handle more and who's a steady Eddie rock star that maybe you don't add a lot of work to. But it was a really great training ground that we found for field management. And I think at right now, they have a regional manager from that team, 3 assistant managers, and then Brooke, who's kind of part of that team for a little bit, is now running all operations at American. So lots of females in the field doing management stuff. I mean, they're killing it still. They're growing and doing a really good job. And I'm super proud of that. But it took the whole team to just say, hey, this isn't really the manager that we need. And by the way, we need a lot of them. So instead of pulling from field technicians that maybe didn't have all the skills, we looked a different way, and that really worked. So at Rattler, we're just now starting that journey, but we'll get there. We have a lot of folks that think field managers need to be able to do the work to lead the team, and that's a hard thing to break. So right now we're talking about it more and pushing it a little bit more. They've never had someone like me tell them, hey, my team that answers the phones in the office actually knows more about field quality protocols and quality than maybe some of your field team. And they do. Folks in the office know their stuff. They're not there just to answer phone calls. They're having to answer all kinds of different questions. So that's something we're working on right now. Other examples of just stuff that we've done in the last 2 years, and a lot of it came from Dan Rattler, actually, was we've been looking for either like smaller frame accommodations, backpacks, smaller tanks, something like that for maybe the female build in the field. Flexible parent friendly schedules. So we set meetings well in advance. We don't drop stuff on people. Schedules are locked 2 days out. So it allows for more flexibility further out. And our team builds their own schedules, which is kind of different. And then the craziest bang for our buck was we bought trucks that were lower to the ground And we actually had some shorter male field team members that, hey, I want a lower truck too. So that's been something that's been a big hit with the group. All right. So now we've got your job descriptions, maybe some different kinds of skills to fill roles, and it's time to encourage females to try for these positions. So this is my favorite part, and what I think literally costs like no money if you don't want to. It can also cost a lot of money. So and this is something that maybe a lot of you are doing. But leadership books, podcasts, mentoring, just grabbing coffee with someone and encouraging them, asking them what they want to do. That's free and easy for the most part. We've just started, and we did this at American too, developed an internal leadership program and encouraged females to do that. Right now we have about two in every like group of 12 that are female. So that's good in my opinion, because we have mostly males at Rattler. So we always try to have at least 2 or 3 in those. And this is something that we haven't done at Rattler, but Erin at All American does, and I think it's a great idea, is to job shadow or try out opportunities. So she has like a form that you can fill out if you want to try something. I found that females, they don't apply for stuff unless they feel like they can 100% do it right now. Or if they don't have all the details, they don't think that they're going to be good at it. So I think this would give females an opportunity to do something, and I really love that idea. Sending people to conferences, which is kind of how I got going on stuff. Making sure you're being intentional about who you send and include some females in that. And then participate in groups like this one, or form your own group. I don't know, go do happy hour or something with the females. I think just getting outside the office or meeting with others that isn't part of your core team is really important. Okay. So this is my my story of how I got out of, I guess, the girls in the office mode. We had someone that was a data analyst unicorn that was going to go to the WorkWave conference in Las Vegas. And I was a new mom and just doing a pretty good job as a CSR and account manager, but not in leadership yet. And they quit, and they did get their dream job working like some rocket ship job at Wallops Island, but they quit 2 weeks before the Workway Pest Conference. So I think David Billingsley felt pity or whatever. We rode to work together every day because we lived close. And he was like, hey, why don't you go to Vegas, sit by a pool? You don't have to go to anything, but it's all paid for and we can't drop out or whatever. So I went to Vegas, and instead of sitting by the pool, which if you know me, I'm not a pool person and I can't sit very long. I went to all the conferences and stuff, and part of that was a 1-hour Genius booth thing with Tom Gibbons. He was kind of an important person for routing with PestPack. So I met with him, and he showed me Best Fit was brand new. I don't think it was even released yet in Route Op. And I was like, man, we need to be doing this at American. So I took that back, and and I developed a whole routing team, and David let me, do it. And I just from that one conference and that, opportunity that I was given, I was able to, it kind of set my career off. Now, I mentor people on routing and things like that. So you never know what kind of opportunity is going to turn into for someone. That I've seen that Academy is a great one to send people to. And I think that those make a big impact. I know they can be expensive, but that's been really impactful and honestly did change my career. And David allowing me also to bring back and change the routing at American, that was a pretty big jump. I didn't really know it at the time, but changing people's routes is pretty annoying to most people, and I wasn't super favorable at American during that time. Everybody loved it eventually, but there was definitely some bumps in the road. So that's how that was an important event in my career. All right, get leadership on board. This is I think this is super important, and luckily I've been part of companies that did have leadership on board with this. But I was at a diversity and inclusion speaker at Pest World a couple of years ago, and they were talking about actually girls in the office, and calling your team members and not using language like that and being intentional. And some older gentleman raised his hand and said, "Hey, I asked the 3 girls in my office if they were okay with me telling them or calling them girls in the office." And they said they were fine with it. They didn't care. And the speaker said that you're coming from a position of power and asking the girls in the office if they minded isn't really fair. And you're probably not getting the best feedback. So, I want to make sure that my leadership and my team members aren't saying things like that. And if you have the opportunity to let leadership know, or if they do say something like that, or, and I've had leaders say stuff that I'm like, you probably shouldn't word it like that. I think we all do that. We talked about creating positions that look different and than what we had in the past. And I think that's also important. But yes, having them say the right thing from a leadership ownership standpoint is super important. And spending money. So that's another thing, you got to invest in it. But like I said, you can do some stuff for free. All right. And then this is the hardest one, I think, and something that I've struggled with is holding others accountable. Don't let comments slide, like I said. And I've been in meetings where people have said girls in the office, and I'm honestly a super passive person in my personal life. But for some reason, when somebody says girls in the office or girls can't drive company trucks, that's a recent one that was said to me. I can't help myself but speak up. So I have a go-to comment because I'm not super on top of it. And some people are, they're quick, but I'm not. So, my comment is, I'm not sure Dennis would appreciate being called a girl. And he's on my team. He's 6'2", a large guy with full beard. And I find that humor kind of lessens the blow a little bit, and everybody can picture Dennis whenever I say that, and that helps get that message across. So if you're not quick like me, maybe have something go to. Check in and correct if needed. So we decided as a routing team that a female is always present during the interview process. So if we're interviewing someone for a female tech or whatever, we have a female in the room, and you catch things every once in a while that are being said, not anything major, but just things that kind of bug me during interviews. So that's been really helpful, just having someone that looks like them, that to maybe speak to things like this as well, or your female initiatives. And we're quick to step in and coach on that stuff. Managers don't know how to handle females being in branch offices. This like baffled me whenever we started having a lot of females in the field at Rattler. Statements like, we need to clean the restrooms more often, or just period, because there's going to be females here. Our response was, that's not a female in the office problem. That's a professionalism problem, and you probably should have been doing that all along. So just little things like that are quick to correct on our team in a pretty positive way for the most part. We found that it was important to have all managers saying the same thing. Be present and loud. And this is the hardest thing for me. And I credit David Billingsley, if you know him. He's probably the loudest person I know on earth. But he was really instrumental on getting me to speak up and get out of my shell during meetings. He put me on the leadership team at American, and then we would get in the car to ride back, home. I did not live with him, but in a ride with him, we commuted. Um, and I would give him like some feedback or say something, and he's like, "Why didn't you say that in the meeting? That's such a good idea. You should have spoke up and said that in the meeting." And he was right. And I just felt intimidated, or I wasn't the only female in the room. There, we had a lot of female leaders. I was new, so um, he was super instrumental in encouraging me to speak up and share my female voice and perspective, because a lot of our customers are females, or the people that I don't know if you guys, but our target market for marketing is females 35 to 45. That's our target demographic. So our voices are super important to be heard, and I think our perspectives are needed. So that's all I've got. I know that I spoke really fast, but I want to hear what you guys are doing, if you have any ideas, or if there's anything that you have questions on. And if not, that's okay too. I'm going to throw up my contact info as well if anybody wants to get with me after the meeting. Courtney and I talk all the time, and I have a lot of other female leaders and people that I speak with. And I love hearing your guys' ideas too. And it's great to get together and have a call. And if you want to know like what phone system to go with or any of the database nerd stuff, I'm here for that too.
Ashley, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
How are you recruiting specifically for technicians, female technicians? Do you have a certain keywords that you use? Or I know that you guys have been successful with recruiting female technicians, and I know we're trying to do a better job with that. So do you have any advice on that side of it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think using certain language and not leaning so much on like the good with your hands, like hard worker kind of job description. We did more customer service type stuff. And also, the more females you get, the more referrals you get. So once we got like five, it was like they were referring their friends as well. One person had like her friend drove her there, and she came in and interviewed right after. So we've stolen a lot of females from other pest control companies, like Mosquito Joe and things like that. It seems like the mosquito businesses really have some females that gravitate towards that, but they don't really love the culture, maybe, or something. I'm not really sure what it is, but we've gotten a lot of females from the mosquito specific companies. And I'm sorry if you're one of those, but that has been a good source for us. Other things, other ones that I know Aaron targets, house cleaning, just retail in general, because there's a lot of females that do retail. And then car wash places. I don't know why, but we've gotten like two or three females from like car wash places. And but those seem like in our area at least female dominated fields that they're maybe looking for more.
Awesome. Thank you. Julie asked, how large is Rottler?
Okay. Yeah, we're projecting to end the year like 42 million. And then we have about 180-ish technicians. So yeah, and about 20 plus of those are females in the field.
Lee asked, she's intrigued by your comment of having a female in the room for interviews when possible. She might have missed this, but is it common practice at your company, regardless of which gender is being interviewed?
Yeah, I mean, but mostly it's males. But also like any kind of any minority, honestly. We just want someone that looks like them to be represented in the room. And I think that's super important because we want to have a sense of community at Rattler. We're family owned, and that's a big part of our mission statement and the way that our culture is ran. So it's interesting that the females will like be being interviewed by like a male manager or something, but they'll look to me more. I'll notice. Even if I'm on a screen, like even if I can't be there in person, I'm usually dialed in on Teams, and I can tell that they're looking to me more than what a male um, person being interviewed. But yeah, rarely do we ever have an all-female panel being interviewing a male technician just because of numbers. So.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Please feel free to put them in the Q&A section for Ashley. And Marillion said that she thinks flexibility is the key to the ideal language when posting for recruiting females, especially on the road.
Yeah. Yeah, we let our team members route their own work, which I think it's becoming a little more common. But I know a lot of companies don't do that. But we also let them put blocks in to have, to let the call center know not to schedule work on them. And that's always approved by their manager. But we work with people, male and female, honestly, all parents help with pickup and drop off and stuff at our company, it seems. So yeah, we help like 2 days a week. If it's your day to pick up, then you're working earlier and getting off at 3:30. So we do that across the board for males and females.
Adrian is interested to hear a little bit more about how employees can create their own schedules and how that works for you guys.
Yeah, so we use Clipboard, and that is very much like the technician is in the power. It's a Plunkett's designed program, and they can put blocks in themselves. If you were to do that with PestPack or another program, you might have to have their manager put in the blocks, but it's always approved, and it's always really clear what they're doing. It just doesn't say off. Because when we first started doing it, it was like off, off, off. No, it specifically says school pickup, and that's okay. There's like no shame in picking up your kid. We love that, and that is our culture. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Matt suggested highlighting females in overall marketing materials, especially with recruiting materials. Do you guys do that as well?
Yeah, we had some females on our website. That was a big thing. I do think that helps females apply, so I'm glad they mentioned that. And then yeah, on marketing stuff, and we have a commercial with Becky, one of our badass female technicians. She's a utility technician, so she's like trapping raccoons and stuff, and wearing a GoPro and sharing. Like she does a lot of the training, so. We have her in a Rowler commercial that plays during Cardinals games and all of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kimberly asked, what types of flexible schedules are you offering? Do you have something specific, maybe like a 440 or anything like that that you guys offer as well?
We don't. Erin at All American is doing a 4-day work week with the field. And I know that if you have any questions on that, she'd be happy to share. But that was a huge undertaking for her. And she's almost all residential. So I think we found it difficult with commercial accounts thrown in. We're about an 80-20 mix on residential to commercial. But yeah, I think the flexibility is we let them route their own work, and then we only send notices 2 days out. So we're not sending a whole week or a whole month or whatever to allow that flexibility. And then all meetings are pre-planned for like the entire year. It's pretty intense, and we don't just drop things lightly. I mean, I think we had like 2 meetings this year that was just like random. One was distracted driving thing and all that, but we are really specific about when you're going to need to be at an office at a certain time. And then the rest of the time is like, get your work done. If you need to work Saturdays, you can do that, but we let them move stuff around as needed.
Awesome. And I have another question. Do you have specific career paths that you also lay out? If you have male or female, they come in as a technician or a CSR, and then they kind of want to progress. Do you lay that out for them on the onset? Have you found that to be helpful and people take advantage of it?
Yeah. We just built inside operations, which is heavily female on our team. Progression, like when I came, everybody was a CSR, you did everything, which that was the kind of CSR that I started, and honestly it's super stressful. So now we have like a CSR1, a CSR2, an admin team, inside sales, and then leadership within the call center. So we've made this progression, which I wish I would have had whenever I first started out. And then on the technician side, we've kind of built out three pathways. One is technical. So we send you to things like Missouri or Kentucky short course, like, very technical type training things, Purdue, all that stuff to get extra certified. And then you can do your ACE. We pay for that. So there's this whole side of that, and you're kind of the guru for any kind of difficult technical type field stuff. And then we have a manager track so that you get tried out as like a team lead. You shadow service managers, and you do some leadership training on that. And then we have a sales track. So it's called master sales, and if you sell enough, then you get to be on production, and then you get to be an inspector. And I'd say commercial sales is probably the top part of that team. But yeah, that's kind of the map out for the internal and external pathways.
Any other questions before we wrap up today? Just a minute. Thank you, Ashley. This was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for asking me, Courtney.
Of course, of course. All right, looks like we are good with questions. So I just want to thank everyone again for joining us today, and thank you to Ashley for this and your perspective on this awesome topic. Some upcoming events to just keep in mind if you are going to Pest World on Thursday, October 24th. There's going to be the PWIPM networking breakfast, nice and early at 7 a.m. And then also Friday, October 25th is the 5K, which also starts at 7 a.m. So I would love to see you there. And then specifically for New England Pest Management, we are hosting a bocce tournament in Methuen at the Sons of Italy on Saturday, November 9th at 11. And that's to support our scholarship committee, PWIPM, and our Pest Vets unit here in New England. Other than that, if you want to follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, you can search for New England Professional Woman in Pest Management, all spelled out. All of our upcoming events are always posted, so feel free to give us a follow. And you guys will get emails from us too if we have any other upcoming events. Other than that, thank you guys for joining us, and thank you so much, Ashley. This was awesome. Bye, everyone.